back to another episode of the Max Effort Athletes Network podcast. I told you guys we were going to have some bangers as guests for season 2, and we have a banger cast today. I'm joined, as always, with Colin and Cole, and we also have Corey G and Brian Peters. What's up, guys? How are you?
What's up? What's up?
Good, the boys.
I'm excited to see this guy.
It's been too long. We don't need to talk about the absence. Yeah, but
Glad to be here.
Be back here come holiday season.
Yeah, it's awesome to have you back. So kind of what we've been doing with this season is just diving into. Last week we had Aaron Sprague from Sword Rivals. We just kind of talked a little bit about him and then the current scape of the athletes, just the whole sphere of training, diet, supplementation, stuff like that.
My favorite topics.
Yeah, absolutely. So
our favorite topics, for sure.
Peters, would just touch on you briefly, then we'll touch on G, and then we'll dive into some stuff.
Like just basic history?
Yeah, of you.
Yeah. Okay.
The Wikipedia of Brian Peters.
Not the elevator speech, the Wikipedia.
Yeah.
Ohio product, obviously good humans, good roots, but from Pickerington, played 4 sports in high school, eventually got an opportunity to get a scholarship.
Wait, 4 sports in high schoul?
4 sports, yeah. I did track and baseball for 2 seasons.
I was going to guess synchronized swimming.
No, I don't know if our swim team was available. But
Go ahead.
Yeah, no, football, baseball, basketball, track, all the above. But got a scholarship to Northwestern to play safety. Had a pretty good career there. Organically kind of grew into a starting role, captain's role. Thought I had a chance at the NFL. Didn't get that call and took the scenic route back to the NFL. Went Arena League, UFL, CFL to NFL. And then had a cup of coffee in the XFL to show I wasn't hurt anymore for a quick couple weeks. And then now, while I was playing, I found I was always in this arena, like, how do I be a better human? How do I be a better athlete? Where's my advantages? In my head, that was called, where can I chase edges? And so I learned about supplementation, training styles. I sampled everything. I trained with savages. I learned from savages, doctors, anybody I could get my hands on. And eventually I found a system that worked for me. A lot of the things I found are transferable to other sports, other humans in general. And so I live in that space now. I coach breathing and mental skills, but now I'm into manual therapies and supporting down regulation in all its forms. I'm using tools and tricks, again, manual therapy, strengthening, and all the breathing protocols. And human psychology has always been an interest of mine, and I'm just learning how to simplify and approach and attack that and be able to pass it on as simply as possible to create leverage for athletes to be athletes.
There's a lot of football kids watching this too, and so humbly, I think you should talk about who was on the captain's team at the Texans while you were there. Mm-hmm. Go ahead, Brian Peters.
No, so I think I said NFL, but so I was able to earn an opportunity with the Minnesota Vikings for a year, and I had a great fall camp, but they put me on practice squad, and then week 3 the Texans signed me off, and I was their special teams guy since then. That was my niche down there. I was really a captain for like the last 3 years. We didn't really have captains, but I was officially named captain in 2018 with J.J. Watt, DeAndre Hopkins, Tyrann Mathieu, Jonathan Joseph, and Deshaun Watson.
Thank you.
Yeah, savages. And that was probably the biggest honor of my football career.
Good list.
Yeah.
Good list.
Yes, yeah, this Monsters Inc. But it was really it was just special. And then kind of like I started sharing it more that Bill O'Brien came up after they announced the captains, and he goes, you had the most votes by far. And
That's so cool.
And that was one of the specialist things I had, just respect. I've always been in a prove it mindset, like never get complacent. You have to earn it every day. And that was the first time I'm like, fuck yeah. Because you always fight for leverage in pro sports because it's very rare that you get enough leverage to even ask for more money or more playing time or anything along that because the competition's so high. So that was my first time I ever thought I had a speck of leverage and respect, and very proud of the work I put in and everybody that helped me get there.
And who you were standing beside.
Oh yeah.
I mean, that's unbelievable, Brian.
Yeah, and it's like the behind the scenes deal, like everybody's human, everybody has flaws, everybody has strengths, and you see how guys play their own game and find their own path. And if you're a good enough human in the locker room, you can talk and learn from everybody. And that was really cool to see the guys that share. Some people, you got to earn their respect before they share anything with you because it is cutthroat and it is a cold world in the professional locker room to, I'd say, even make relationships because training camp, half those humans are gone, and then maybe another 5-10% are trying to take your job specifically. So it's just like
legitly.
So it's the ability to earn respect from coaches, trainers, everybody, but your teammates and your peers, which is why I think captain's such a tremendous honor. But just being able to earn enough respect to ask questions to some of the greatest performers on the planet was probably, like, thinking back retrospectively, my favorite part of learning.
I think also, like, when I think about something like that, it's like you know that you belong. And then that gives you another level of confidence because you're like, I was voted by my peers to stand by these other peers, which are all, like, high-level NFL guys, no matter what time frame they would have played in. They're all great.
Yeah.
And so, like, I think that right there alone to be able to say, like, because, like you said, it took a while to get there, so you're kind of a tweener, right? And then you're like, that, like, solidified, I'm not a tweener. I fucking belong here. That had to be really gratifying.
Yeah, and it's what's a good way to say it? I wouldn't say I was never bigger than the job I had. I wasn't where I wanted to be in the arena and UFL and CFL and all those places, but, like, I always, like, it was blinders on, do the best I can, over deliver X, Y, and Z, and to see it materialize at the end like that was
So
special.
cool.
Yeah,
One of my favorite things.
yeah.
So good.
All right, Peters, I want to talk ball because we talked about
Talk
a lot of
ball,
things, but
yeah.
I want to go straight ball. And I want to frame this up as, thinking back to me whenever I was 16 years old, I was playing linebacker. I'm trying to go to college. I'm trying to do all this. And I had the opportunity to ask an NFL player, what do I need to do to get better, right? Like, what are some of the intangibles, like, physically and, like, I guess during the game that I need to do to go play at the collegiate level or the NFL?
I mean, there's so many different directions for that. Like, if you want to simplify it, like, clean, like, over-prepare, over-deliver. Don't be a guy that has to get a hype-up speech. Like, they need to be the guys that pull you back. And I had Ryan Shazier on my podcast, and he said that Mike Tomlin has the same verbiage for NFL guys, but I think it's massive for high school players and so on in that sense. I want you to be I want to say whoa instead of sick 'em to you. Like, so, like, don't make me hold you back. Don't make me fucking get the stick. So in that sense, I think it's really important. Like, you can simplify it to, like, attitude and effort. Like, that's in your control at all times. And that's what got me my chance in the CFL was, like, they said run to the ball. So if they overthrew a fade route and I'm playing linebacker, I would run 50 yards and go pick up the ball. And so, like, but it's like, that's the consistency of effort.
Over delivery.
Yeah. And so until you do that, until I know, like, because everybody wants to optimize in sports science right now, but people sleep on freaking work ethic and consistency. And, like, you guys embody that here. And it's something my respect level for you guys off the charts on that, because so many humans do not consistently show up and give max effort.
Facts.
And you guys have been around, like, the Nate Ebners now, and, like, one of his nuggets that stuck out to me is, like, if effort is a control in the equation, not a variable, and you have to guess, did I give max effort? Did I not? All those things, like, life gets a lot easier. Like, I can win or I can sleep with losses if I know I gave max effort. If I lost and didn't know if I tried as hard as I could, like, that's where regrets and all this resentment and, like, different people that can't get over their athletic history and things like that and move on to the next thing or move on to the next mountain. I just think it's really important to, if you work ethics there and the effort level is there, and then now, like, attitude for high schoolers, I think is really important, because half the reason I'm in the sports psych realm is because I didn't enjoy sports the majority of the time I played. I was scared of failing, and that is not how you want to play football. And I had this roller coaster where I had phases where I was bulletproof, and then other phases where it's like, just don't mess up. And if I would have learned earlier that, like, losing or getting beat is not failure, it's feedback on how to improve and just reframe what's negative in my mind, I would think I would have enjoyed the sport more. Because how I see it, because, like, all these guys want to be perfect. There's no perfect games in football. There's no perfect games in baseball. Perfect game, they still throw balls. Like, it's like, get the word perfect out of sport. Like, you're never going to play a perfect game, and you got to understand that your human's going to be your human and hang on the negative stuff for survival. And, like, obviously it's not life and death, but in sports, winning and losing is life and death. So, okay, the negativity that comes with failing and getting beat and getting embarrassed and all this public attention, that's just feedback. You can now improve, because like if you have a bad game and you beat yourself up, I get that. Like, okay, you played bad. Like maybe we need to fix a lot of things. But if you have a good game and you think about the one missed tackle or the 2 bad plays when 96% of the game was actually good, and you're beating yourself up on that end, you're losing on both ends, like socially and emotionally. So it's like, okay, can I become a little more realistic on what failure is? And really, like, I hear it in college, and people like, I don't know how to coach this generation. This generation's soft. They're the TikTok, Twitter generation, whatever the hell. Like, I see that as an excuse that the coach hasn't delivered the way that feedback should be represented. And because you guys do a great job of giving very negative feedback very quickly to solve the problem, improve the squat form, improve the athletes, those kind of things. Like, I want my feedback loop to be as fast as possible. If you look at coaching and negative feedback, that's the fastest way to solve problems. Criticism and negative feedback. So if you teach kids that, hey, this is really good, I should pursue negative feedback, because that means I get to fix a problem fastest.
Yep.
And if I fix problems faster than you and I make decisions better than you, I'm going to be the better athlete, in my opinion. So I just think
There's like 100 fucking takeaways in what
I
he
mean,
just read.
yeah, that was so good.
So good.
So you talk about like being prepared and stuff like that, and obviously I'm coaching middle school and stuff like that, and I'm trying to preach to them the importance of being prepared by watching film. So can you talk about maybe some of the habits or some of how much of a difference maker that is whenever you've studied the opponent, you studied the enemy, now you can go out and execute?
Yeah, I think film's massively important. Like, it's visualization to me. And I can get reps in a game against the same opponents, the same formations. And again, like, high performance is nothing but fast-paced decision maker. The fastest decision maker usually is one of the better players on the team. And that's where you see the Luke Kuechly's and this cream rise all the way to the top. And that's not like a white linebacker thing. That's just like skill, but in the same sense. But what I'm saying, like, in that same sense, like, these microseconds of identifying, this is all mental. So that's visualization tied in teeth. Like, the closest I can get. So as an athlete, I watch the end zone, because like that's the vision I see on the field. When I was a safety, when I was a linebacker, I only see the end zone. Like, seeing the sideline's cool for like knowing personnel and like, okay, 3-by-1, whatever, like the formation. But after that, I'm looking at my keys, and like the more in sync I can get, and the more, it's like law of 10,000 hours. The more clean I can go through this, because like, okay, linebacker, I'm like center guard potentially, depending on the formation. If it's 21 personnel, I'm fullback first. And so the faster I go through my keys, I can get more into reacting, as opposed to like I'm delayed. So now I'm like playing catch up, and there's just a little more like on the gas pedal where I'm not clear and smooth. Because like it took me a very long time in professional sports, and breathing helped me a lot to get control of my state. But repetition, and like a lot of guys earn this level of peace and like mastery on the football field because they get 5 years, 12 years in the NFL, and like everything's second nature to them because they earned it through reps. But those guys, particularly backups, like the backups that don't watch film piss me off, because you are wasting so much opportunity to improve and be ready when that injury happens. And if you go in there and you're not ready, that's on you, and you have to sleep with that. And those are your regrets, and because you didn't give max effort. Because max effort is not just running to the ball; it's in preparation, and like the consistency of preparation. If I can be dialed there, so where when I step on, like the gap between the reps the starter already got and I as a backup got is closed, because I watch more film than him. Yep. Maybe I'm even more prepared than him, because you'll see a lot of starters get complacent and stop watching film, and some guys actually don't even watch film in the NFL. Like, obviously, who they throw under the bus, Johnny Manziel. But I know I know active NFL safeties right now that don't watch film because they found out that overthinking is a problem for them, and they just need to react and they perform better. Cool, solve your problem. But as a high school player that's still learning the game of football and doesn't understand the intricacies of formation tendencies, hand lean, like literally quarterback points and what words they're saying, no, you need to understand formation and what are my keys. Keep it super simple. Because now you get into like the vision of seeing the game, which is why the end zone copy of film is so important. Is a lot of times you get out there and it's just overwhelming and you see too much. So like the saying that in linebackers rooms, hopefully around the country, are like, see a lot, actually see a little, because you're missing really what's yours to execute upon. Important. but you see a little, you see a lot. And that's how you make plays is I read sequential keys into my gap. Or I read this formation, no one tendency, and now my eyes are back to my key and I go. And it's just like, you need to see like your job. And like, that's life in general. Take care of your job first and then help others. And then try and be the superhero, all-star Luke Kuechly calling plays. But really, like, film's, I mean, it's a superpower. Like, it's a hack into more reps.
Yep.
And if you feel like you're not getting enough reps at practice or in a game, go earn your own reps, make your own reps, get creative, have fun with it. You know. Sorry, I'm ranting.
That was so good.
That was banger. Colin, I hope you had time to digest all that.
I mean, BP's just been hitting bangers, like Corey said, left and right. But for me, I know we talked I guess it was last week at Swiss when we were talking about the workhorse versus racehorse. I want you to explain that for kids that are getting to the high school and college level, what the difference is there, and then how that kind of transcended your career when you were down working out with some of those guys.
Yeah, like high schools, like I don't think it's really, I mean, you can probably vouch you work more hands-on with high school guys now, but it's really hard to overtrain and overwork a high schooler unless they're running 2 days with different coaches and things like that. Like if you're lifting and running every day and it's maxed out 2 hours, I think you're fine. So like I think high school's for developing work capacity, personally. Yeah. Like if you get a good coach that can start teaching you the right muscles and the right plyometrics and like the resistance and jumping and all that kind of stuff, awesome. But regardless, your work capacity, your conditioning level, all those things should be high in general. And then, but when you get into college, particularly when you get into the pros, the more age starts to play a little bit of a role in it, but it's not all work capacity when you reach like this point of optimization. And so in that same sense, like I used to run myself into the ground with groups of elite performers like the Adrian Petersons. He ran a gym in Houston where I trained for a year just to learn that working hard is a mental advantage there and the capacity, knowing I'm tougher and have more capacity than you. But at the end of the day, the play I'm performing on a football field lasts about 4 seconds. And I need to be prepped and fast and violent and quick for that 4 seconds. And me running 10 310s with 60 seconds rest probably didn't increase that.
Adrian Peters is an alien too,
no,
bro.
But it was like him, Daniil Hunter, who I think is leading the NFL in sacks right now. I watched Daniil beat Adrian in some of these 300s and stuff. It was an elite group. And I learned, again, I earned respect and learned and asked questions, and I showed up every day and did the work, and you learn and see what makes these guys great. Like Adrian Peterson, work capacity, he's running way more times than I am in a game, you know?
Yeah.
So, true. And same with DNs and stuff. So maybe it's more applicable for them. For me, it was not. I don't think I got faster. And for me,
what I think about the high school too is like, you know, I would say our volume's on the high end of stuff here for sure. Right?
Oh, guaranteed.
And these kids, after they have adapted to this as the norm, they're still hooping after.
Yeah.
And I'm looking at like I'm leaving and they've already been here for 2 hours. They're out there playing like 2-on-2 still. So it's like they've built up this like GPP level, strength level, and they're, you know, these are also multiple D1 commit kids. And then they're out there going 2-on-2, not crazy hard, but it's like they still got more. And so to your point, like that's like their norm. Like that's how they should be, really.
Yeah, they're Energizer bunnies with rubber bones. Like they literally like they can play. like there's awesome places for wisdom, like technical soundness on all the lifts in the weight room. Learning what actual hypertrophy is versus 5 sets of 5.
Yeah.
And things like that. Like if you learn that, the basics, the fundamentals, and that's something you guys preach here. That's magic in general. Because everybody, once you keep climbing levels, I want the new thing. I want the best training. I want the red light recovery. I want all these things. But if your fundamentals aren't there, like I don't like I heard it a saying one time where it's like if you squat with bad form, like whatever, it's like times 0. It doesn't freaking matter. You know, like because you're building strength on dysfunction. So bad reps multiply by 0. Like so I need to be fundamental. Like if high school, if you can leave with a great squat, you starting to get into like the snatch, but like the high pull and the power clean, and you walk out with like a good deadlift, which again will forever, and I think every sport serve a purpose for developing strength. If you walk out of high school at that base level, you'll walk into a college, a locker room and a college weight room where guys just look I don't know a nice way to say it. They look unathletic in the weight room because they don't know how to control the bar. They don't know how to control their bodies. And yeah,
a lot of them don't know how to lift.
No, you're still growing and cool. Like some guys, they're not blessed with coaches like you guys.
Yep.
And so, and they just let guys run free for an hour in the weight room, and half the time the kids are talking about the girls and whatever not, or the catch OBJ had or whatever. But it's not what I think the weight room's meant for, is to teach these lessons and fundamentals first. And then even when you think you got it, it's a lifetime relationship with the squat. The farther you get away from it, I'm learning that now. I was telling you guys that before. Right now, 405 and 455 on deadlift feel heavy to me because I haven't been touching heavyweight. And I have to relearn my relationship. I learn my lats, learn how to get my glutes and my quads going, all these things. High school kids, it's an ego thing where they think they got it, think they're good enough, and they haven't faced adversity because they've all the good players have always been good and they'll be good until they get to college. Some guys get through college with that too, so their mental confidence is high, but the potential they leave on the table is massive, and who knows when that potential catches you.
Well, I think the guys that stay, like the Ray Lewis's of the world, or it's like those guys that are super gym rats that also have great ability are the ones that end up playing for 15 years because they actually are like gym rats on top of it. They truly like being there. A lot of the guys in the league don't like training. It seemed like there's a lot of dudes that don't because they feel like they got here as such a great athlete, and you can tell a lot of it is just really activation and some GPP. It just seems like that's what I've seen where there ain't really dudes really getting crazy.
Yeah,
there's a percentage.
Yeah, there's a percentage, and there's a percentage that doesn't lift, and then there's
you see all of it, right?
Yeah, it's like the 10-80-10 concept where legit 10% doesn't train till they get the OTAs and shit, and then there's the 10% that are all in. You see them with the supplements, you see them with
the Brian Cushings of the world,
where you have an IV guy, you have a functional masseuse because you've tried out other people and found out that there's a difference between having a great masseuse and another great masseuse.
Yeah.
But I'm not going down that route. But okay, these are all separators. And so, but again, this is so far away from the fundamentals that we're talking about. And if you fall in love with the systems, if you fall in love with the process of getting better and showing up each day, and everybody beats enjoy the process to death. But at the end of the day, if you're so focused on that day, and you get the most out of every rep. And I now into all my studies, if you focus on the muscle contracting when you're lifting, it improves hypertrophy 15%. I think versus just throwing the weight around.
Focusing on consistency and moving well is a really big key at the lower levels, which is why when coaches come in to see some of the way our kids move, I'm real proud of that because I took the time on the front end to make sure they move well. So then when they do get under distress and load, they can strain in a good pattern so they can make 500-pound deadlifts, 400, whatever the thing is. And I think the band training has helped a ton with that because it polices a lot of, if you're in a front squat of the band and you don't have your elbows up, you're getting bent the fuck over.
Yeah.
Whether it's one band or 5 bands, doesn't matter. So it's I think some of the things that we've done, and then when guys like Travis Mash come in that are, literally taking people to the Olympics and Olympic lifting, and it's he's like, man, all these kids move well on front squat. I'm like, well, bro, I spent a bunch of time. So then when we do start cleaning, I'm like, just get your elbows up fast. It's and it kind of builds on. But to your point, a lot of people don't have instruction like that young, but that's what the kids should be focused on the most. So then they can actually push. So I don't know.
I also think of what you said about expecting negative feedback, being okay with being told what you're bad at and how you can improve upon that. Because dealing with middle school kids, this is the first time some of these kids are basically getting told that is not good. This is the first time ever.
Yeah.
And
I love that. You ain't taking that weight.
Yeah, and a lot of them can't handle it. But as they start to understand this, and it might be a maturity thing too, where they start to figure out if I do this just this one small thing, and I see this happen on the play, they continuously want it. So I think it's huge.
Yeah, I think it's a perspective problem versus an actual toughness problem. But because some kids might their parents may, hey, whatever you feel, you are what you feel. That kind of stuff that's getting pumped a little bit in the same sense. But the faster you can understand the relationship with negative feedback, the better human you're going to be, the tougher, more resilient person you're going to be in any environment, in my opinion.
So I want to talk about you talked about all the leagues you journeyed through to get to the NFL. Like, that goal of getting to the NFL, being a captain, probably felt so far out of reach at times. Like, what's kind of the mental process of you just like going through, you're bouncing around, you don't really know, because nobody tells you, hey, if you keep doing this, you're going to achieve your dreams, you're going to get to the NFL. So, like, talk about some of the things you went through, like just trusting the process and keep going.
Yeah, and that's I mean, that's a really underlying principle that I've always kept, is like that curiosity and competitiveness like mixed together. And I think the high performers always have that, because they're obviously like looking for the best thing, but they know also what's best for them. But in my journey, I was lucky enough to get a couple tryouts, like mini camp workouts, and I saw high round draft picks, and I'd play with them, and I knew I could play. So that was like the root in the back of my brain. But then obviously, like, I wasn't where I wanted to be, so I needed to get better. Very logical. So I was like, what can I get better at? And I had awesome humans around me. Guy from college, he had a sheet where I would break down the first team all conference from every conference, all the big conferences, the Power Five, and I'd grade them on a list of like 20 things, like footwork, physicality, tackling, X, Y, and Z. And I'd watch 3 of my games and I'd grade myself, and it'd cut through the bullshit where I was misrepresenting myself, where I was overconfident, where I was truly weak. And that tangibility of seeing what was wrong and what was the gap between me and the other first team guys, that kind of created my system moving forward, where it's like I was able to self-evaluate in a more honest way with myself, so that when I was on my own climbing through all these leagues, I could watch the film, see where I suck, and I try and suck less, and I keep learning and growing in different areas. So at the time, like, I wasn't sleeping right, I wasn't dieting right, I wasn't supping right. So I cleaned all that up, but at the same time, I'm working on my eyes in football, because I would see too much, like we talked about earlier. My tackling angles, and then after that, like, the other stuff was like, I was always good ball skills and those kind of things, so I maintained those. But I had this system where I kept anywhere from 3 to 10 things, but I usually didn't get more than 3 things to work on, and those are my edges I was chasing. And so I stuck to those, and I, like, in the arena ball, I worked on 3 different things, and I worked in the CFL. And then eventually, like, that foundation I built up of all these little betterments and things like that eventually got me capable enough to get signed to the NFL, I think. But it was just literally, it was a system. Like, and I don't want to rant here, but like, if you don't know what you want, everybody wants to play in the NFL. Like, but there's a lot of stepping stones to get before then. Like, you got to be a starter, you got to make varsity, you got to like put up enough stats and all those kind of things. But if it's just always, I want to get to the NFL, like, it's too vague of a goal. Like, you have to be super clear and dialed on the short-term goals with the vision for the long-term as like a carrot keeping you going. And like I already confessed my sins that like I played scared. I played scared of failure. I already had that working against me. I just didn't know any better in that same sense. But you can start eliminating some of those things as you get this vision for the future to be the carrot. And then basically what I think that fear of failure did, that was my stick. Like, I always had this sense of like inadequacy that kept me like hunting and chasing for other things. And so I think that's kind of like a recipe. And like Hormozy said it, and it just embodied what I've gone through in my journey. But like these 3 characteristics of high performers, like across all spectrums, sports, business, everything, was a sense of superiority that you think you're capable of more. Very simple. A sense of inadequacy that keeps you going, that keeps you like hungry. And then it was all, it was like short-term deferment. It was, it's another way for focus, but it was, motherfucker. I always mess up the good quotes.
I remember seeing this video, and
Yeah.
I remember laughing out loud when he said it all, because I was like, yeah, I can identify with
Yeah,
much
so
of it.
the 2, but it was impulse control.
Yeah.
So it's like, okay, sense of superiority, like I know I can do more. It's really just you're tapped into your own capability and your potential, but do you have the balls to go after it? And then sense of sense of inadequacy, okay, it's the knowledge paradox. The more you know, the less you know. And like the better and more people you get around, the more like stuff that should drive you, because you're not as good as everybody else around you. That's why you keep a fucking savage 5-person circle concept. And then now it's literally impulse control. Can you defer the easy thing? Can you choose the hard thing on repeat consistently, day in and day out? And if like that's a nasty recipe for success. Whatever it is, I don't care if it's like you want to be the best like physiology professor at Harvard. It's still going to be a variant of that. You got to keep learning. You got like that's what's going to keep scaring you. You got to see the vision. Like, can I be the best? I think I'm capable of it. Like, why not? And then, okay, I'll continually make the right choices to be successful.
So you wonder where, because I've often thought this about myself, like, what made me think? I remember just thinking, like, I'm just meant for bigger things. Like, I literally just, like, I don't know where, I'm not really sure where it came from. But it's like, I literally was just like, yeah, I'm supposed to be this guy.
And I like, it's the same as like when I got a shot, I knew I could play.
Yeah.
But like, I've always thought I was different. And like that, it sounds weird to say.
It does sound weird.
But like, in my opinion, like, cause I've coached a little bit of everybody, like on the human spectrum at this point. I think everybody has that relationship with their potential. And it's, some people just let it drift away and they get lost in the comfort. And then some people like are very aware of it. And it's just, I think it's just a scale of awareness with it, because I think everybody knows they can be healthier, know they can love their wife more. They know they can do all these things way better. And it's like, but you make these impulse decisions that vote, not accurate. You're choosing not the better version of yourself.
Yeah.
And so, okay.
Because I've had people try to, they've asked me about that before, and I don't know that I have a great answer. But then once it showed, like, your version of I could play with these guys, I was a fucking, let's ride it. Yeah, I'm right. Let's keep this going.
But I mean, look at I bet you go to I'll go talk to the cashier at Wendy's and say, hey, do you think you deserve more money?
Everybody gets second, thinks they're first.
Yeah, but I'm saying in general, in any environment, like, people think they're capable of more in X environment. Yeah. Usually, in my opinion, maybe I'm crazy, but in the same sense, I think everybody is driving for more, and like, you can strip it down to like primal nature, where it's just survival based, and like everybody's selfish up to a point where they think that, because it's self-preservation 101, is to make the decision in the short term to get these things and make these impulse decisions. But it's kind of like I'm not going to go down the outdated software route, but everybody makes these choices every day, but they're either aware that it's helping and hurting them, or they're not. And that's where like the vague goals is the problem, because if you're making these short-term decisions that are good or bad, if you don't even know they're good or bad or on track or off track, like, you're just drifting. And I think so many people today are just drifting, and they're okay. They're okay with everything. Good enough.
Talking about what you broke down, I think I did a daily fire today on definition of success. So ultimately, if your goal is to play in the league, there has to be a almost like a backwards work in progress of what that looks like. And what you did was like, all right, these guys are clearly the Power Five. So I need to actually be able to see like where I'm at, like honestly. And I think things really, and I don't think that people do that, bro.
No, and that's why, because like I think I've said on your guys' podcast twice, but like that desire, like I do desire setting with guys before I do goal setting, because like, okay, desire is a contract with yourself to be unhappy until you get this thing. That's negative feedback between your self-talk and with your coaches. Like, you're going to be unhappy with your performance until it's X. Yeah. Okay, well, in that stressful time, I'm going to get negative feedback. I'm going to be self-doubting, all these things, which is still negative feedback. And I'm going to work through that and not complain while I go through this stressor that I agreed to pick up because I want to play at Ohio State. I want to play in the NFL. If you make the contract with yourself to go after a thing, don't complain to me. Let's solve the problem. Like, because my bit recently, like, as I coach humans in general, all spectrums, like, it's just a weird deal where, like, I don't solve problems, I dissolve problems. Like a lot of the breathing stuff, like, down regs you through stressors and stuff, but like, logically, most people are just in their own way. They're lost on their own narrative, why they can't do something, or why they have it easier than me, or they're making more money than me. It's all narrative and perspective based. All our suffering's from perspective for the most part, because pain's inevitable, but like, your suffering's not. So now can I work my way through and dissolve my problems, dissolve these limitations? And you guys know I'm a slut for a good quote. Like, if like
you are,
but it's they make so much sense to me in the right time. But if you fight for your limitations, you get to keep them, and that fucking hits so hard. I think about that every day, because I know where I limit myself every day, and I there's long enough times where like eventually it'll become enough friction point where I'll change it. But I think that was Jim Quick. All his limitless stuff's dynamite in the mental skills department. But okay, what are my limitations, or what do I think my limitations are? Because I bet if you like 3x your work, your limitations are nowhere near what they thought, let alone your potential.
Wow. That's really good. Peter, so you're talking about people drifting and maybe, dealing with some personal issues like that. For high school athletes, maybe like those who actually football season just finished up, that might be the last sport they play. Now they have to go through and figure out, what am I going to do after high school, stuff like this. Mm-hmm. And obviously after football is over, you've identified as an athlete. These kids from third grade up to senior year, they're trying to figure out like they are an athlete. What's your piece of advice for them trying to figure out what they're going to do next?
Yeah, it's kind of twofold. And one thing I got from G, just because I think it's dynamite, like just because you no longer put the pads on doesn't mean you're not a competitor. Find something else to compete in, and then test it. Like train it and test it. Like put it under the lights.
Yep.
That shit's fucking.
I fucking love that.
That's medicine. Like, but like again, this is like a perspective thing where like I don't want to go under the lights with a new skill and look stupid and X, Y, and Z. That's just part of the contract. If you want to be good at something else,
part of the contract.
But if you want to be if you want to be good at something else, you got to start at the bottom of the mountain and look stupid again. You got to suck again. And then the goal is to find a system that makes you get better, and then better faster, and then negative feedback, coaching, criticism, YouTube videos, anything you can to get better at this next thing. Because you put 100 hours in, things get a lot easier. 100 hours is not a lot. That's like 2 hours a night for not even 2 months.
Yeah.
Like if you can't do that, you don't want it. So okay, we'll keep it pushing. But like so. You have to, like, because I do this when I speak to high school kids, and I speak to high school athletes now through Ohio Life a little bit, and I just want to get them excited. You have so much time. You're so young, and like I say, time rich, because I want them to be excited about how rich they freaking are. Because there's so many billion-dollar humans that I bet would trade with them to be 18 again with zero money. Yep. Because time is like it's where you guys know my bit. Like where you spend your time is where you see your results. If you spend your time thinking about all your problems, you spend your time playing video games. It's kind of weird now because you can actually make money playing video games. But but if you spend your time dicking off and doing all these things, there's time for it as a kid for sure. Like learn yourself, that kind of thing. But if you spend your time in the right places, you'll see your results. You'll get smarter. You'll get faster. You'll get stronger. So simple. But okay, when you're transitioning, in particular, get rid of the titles early. Like athlete. Everybody, like Nike fixed the problem. Anybody that can move is an athlete. Okay, cool. But like in general, identity is a big problem. And when I speak to kids, I speak the same thing, is we identify with our emotions right now, and that's a very big problem in mental health. I'm depressed versus I'm experiencing depression. And so like even when I go and talk to kids, I say, I don't like to say I'm happy. Well, that's weird. Why? Because whenever I'm not happy, there's a gap between where I am and where I want to be, and that's friction. And so that's a problem. So I want to experience happiness more than I experience sadness and depression and those kind of things. But you're a human. You're going to go through the whole way of life, particularly when you try something new. Because all this doubt and negativity, and again, it's really just built into our psychology. We have a negativity bias for survival. So when you get into these new arenas and these new endeavors and those kind of things, you're going to be scared. Like you're going to be worried. You're going to like, am I stupid? Am I dumb? Yes, you are. But guess what? You get the opportunity to improve and go better and be excited about it. And then maybe you spend 2 years figuring out something that's not for you. That's time well spent because you never have to waste your time there again. It's okay to try and like figure it out for a while. Like, I mean, I technically didn't figure it out till 34, like it doesn't matter when. And so get them excited about their time. Make sure they're not identifying all these things that are going to change. Like I was a professional athlete. That is going to change. LeBron, not going to be a professional athlete in 5 years, maybe 6 years, whatever. You know what I'm saying?
He just keeps
but like
spending
all
it
these people, everything's finite. So just create a better relationship, letting things go. And like, and I posted it this morning, but like if Laird Hamilton, absolute superhuman of a man, but basically like if you're going through life, I'm going to butcher another quote, but in the same sense, but like if
the quote butcher, Brian Peters.
But basically saying if like, all your accomplishments and your dreams are in the past, like you're dead. You should always have a carrot, always have a dream, always have something you're working on in that realm, and go and improve. Because like that, like it's just life doesn't stop after the mountain you were on. And it's like you can read these books, Second Mountain and X, Y, and Z, but like life is always going to be this let go of what I was and go refine myself, improve myself, deepen relationships, improve skill sets. So when I start talking to anybody, because I've worked with military guys and pro athletes transitioning, I go like, lose the title. It's your capability that made you an NFL player. It's your capability that made you a world champion powerlifter. It's your capability that made you a special forces operator. That capability didn't change when like the title changed. That's just that's gift wrapping on what you are. Because what am I? I'm a disciplined leader that like makes fast-paced decisions under pressure, and like that translates everywhere. But I'm a risk taker. I gambled on myself to go play for $300 in the Arena Football League. Like I went to the CFL when people told me not to, when people told me to use my Northwestern degree. I'm a risk taker, and I gambled on myself. And same as the entrepreneurs you guys are here. Like I would rather live and die by the sweat and success of myself than rely on somebody else's capabilities to make me money and protect my family. So okay, let's look at what life is next, and how am I going to build a life built off my capability? Because at the end of the day, like you're going to go from son to father to grandfather. Like that's going to change. Everything's going to change. Change is the only constant in life. So how can I weave through this better by letting go a little more and not getting caught up? I'm not a football player anymore. I'm not on ESPN. Okay, well, you lived an awesome life with an awesome platform. You can tell a great story. Work on your storytelling. And then tell that story and share your lessons with the others, because help and support are not yours to keep. Another one of my favorite lines. And I think like that's where you see it in the NFL. Guys hoard stuff until you earn their respect. But like if you spend, like don't waste your life. Like share. And like that's why I love coming here. Like shared connection, like shared experience, like keep good people.
Brian, one of the things that you talked about, basically like you were playing prevent defense.
Yeah.
I mean, with whether it was you personally, like on the field playing scared.
Yep.
How did you become, I guess, more aware of that to go a little differently? And have you then like applied that now in business and whatnot? Because that would be I think maybe I'm on the opposite side of that. And sometimes like, well, maybe I should have like treaded a little lightly, you know what I mean? But then it's like, to your point, you get the negative feedback. You hopefully try to adapt and keep it moving. But it's like, how did you have that switch? Because I think a lot of people probably operate that way.
I didn't sit with myself and think about it. That's not going to improve. Fear is not going to improve my performance. Preparation will improve my performance. So I over-prepared until I was,
That's where the confidence
even
comes
with
from.
even with the doubt, that preparation trumped the doubt. And I mean, I'm not going to go down all the quote deals, but like so many people want this fake, like egotistical confidence and like loudest guy in the room is the weakest guy in the room concept. I can see that so much still to this day.
Real guys can feel it, bro.
Yeah, it's bravado. It's all these things. And again, I've just been on a Hormozy kick, but it's like you don't get confident by shouting affirmations in the mirror.
No.
You get confidence by having an undoubtable stack of work that you've done in preparation. That's confidence. And like I think like if the more you respect the work ethic and the unshiny, unfun part of like, because like doing the stretching, doing the workouts every day, doing every rep of the workouts every day, going home and getting enough sleep, staying hydrated, electrolytes, all this boring stuff, because success is boring. Like the best performers will tell you that success is boring because the camera's only on you for 3 hours a week. Some guys, you get some interviews, but you know what I'm saying? Everything else is super boring because that's how important the fundamentals are. If I do everything consistently right for a long enough period of time, my top side, my compound interest is going to be so much better than everybody else's. And that's where, and that like event, like I didn't even have a system to combat the negativity at the time, but my preparation ended up trumping that and getting me to the NFL.
Love it. Thanks for answering. I think that's really important. Colin?
I'm going to roll real quick. Yeah. Brian, alluding back to what Cory said about that point of where you thought you were built for more. And I think a lot of us on this podcast right now can allude to that. And I just want to kind of throw it out there. Like, I don't think people have big enough goals. That's really the biggest thing. I think people's goals are too small and they reach them and then they don't have another goal. So like for us that are on this podcast right now, what is a big goal that you guys are reaching for? And I'll share mine first. Like I'm switching my, job title and we're going after corporate wellness. So we want to be the number one corporate wellness business in New York City and then hopefully in the US. But any of you guys, do you guys have big enough goals that you're going after? Like Cory, I know you just bought an island. That's a fucking pretty big goal that people probably can't allude
Brian
to. But
me there, I want to be a New York Times bestseller, man. And I don't know if it's this book, the next book, or 9 books later. But I think that what I have to offer just from a standpoint of all the things that I've been through, all the preparation, all the good, bad, and indifferent, like that the next phase of my career will be probably just in teaching. And, you know, I don't even know if it's really necessarily motivation, but it's like tactical stuff that is boring, but will pay off. And I've had a lot of people ask me if I would sign up to do it again because of the ups and downs and the things. And my answer every time would be absolutely, because I've got to live my dream way past whatever I thought was possible. And so, like, I didn't get a chance to be a pro athlete, but I still went pro in what I do, which was my passion of fitness and being on the cover of magazines and thinking that I was able to do that way before everyone thought that that was even possible, and going in and visualizing myself walking in Barnes and Nobles and picking myself up on newsstands when everybody was 220. Most of the guys were on drugs, and I'm here weighing 175 thinking I can do this. You know what I mean? And so, like, having those goals that I'm telling you, there ain't one person probably in the High Valley besides maybe Dustin and my mom that believed that that was possible for me as I came up here to the big city to try to go do things like that. And so I think that I've always had some things that are out there that I've achieved. And then when I got there, sometimes I would have a hard time readjusting because I'd be like, well, shit. Like, one, it would give you the opportunity to say, oh, shit, even more is possible. But two, I don't even know if I was faking myself or actually believed I could get there, but I was on the path to give it a try, a real try, all the try, like everything, max effort all the time. And so I would think you do got to set them high. You got to put the action around them to give yourself the best possible chance. That's what I'm always preaching, is that I'm going to squeeze every ounce out of what I got to give myself the best possible chance to be great, because we're not guaranteed anything. And so at the end of the day, some of these things go my way, some of them don't. But, man, I'm shooting for them, and I'm really happy with what that's kind of, been able to afford my life to this point. So I agree. I think the goals have to be high. I think that some people feel weird and kind of like, oh, well, people are going to laugh at them or do whatever. They should, because you're really the only motherfucker that's actually going to believe it anyway. So I hope they laugh. And I like to look at people's eyes when I tell them a goal to see if they believe me. I know they don't believe me, but I fucking love that part because my favorite thing is proving everybody like wrong, even if I'm just proving myself right. I don't know if I'm proving anybody else wrong. So I think it's good.
Yeah.
Goals.
Ooh, so that's a tough one. My goal is kind of like team oriented. So that's always been like my role. I was never like the star player. So my goal is to be like the best version of like the Dennis Rodman to the team that I can be, like provide a little bit of spark, but also like I want to make everybody else around me. So like whether that's we're training these kids at the gym and they go on to win a state championship, or if it's a kid I'm helping out try to go to college and they land a cool Division I offer, or the success of Max Effort or the podcast that we're on, it's just like my goal is always to maximize myself and then maximize the value that I provide to other people, and just be like in a killer connection for like everybody. So like this weekend, like for instance, we went and saw Coach Storms. Like I just want to be like a dude that everyone can like go to and connect everybody, right? In the strength coaching world, at the high school level, like everybody, I want everybody to win. So I'm going to try to be the best version of myself and get all these skills so I can then share those with others and help them win.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Let's go.
Mine straight up is to get $1 million in my bank account by 40.
Like with
that, like legitimately, like that's the goal. I guess this would be like the equivalent of, me making it to the NFL or some shit. Like this is in my mind, because coming back from like my hometown, my situation, to get a fucking $1 million in the bank is basically unheard of. Most people don't have 100 racks in their bank or investment account.
Or 10 racks.
Yeah, like they don't have anything. So, and this is going through the process of, it's going to take, starting all these businesses. Like it's going to simply happen by doing my job consistently. I've done this. I've then started the agency, which is another layer of that. I've then got ownership in this, bought into real estate. I'm making all these moves, but now like to tie it up, I think what I got to do next is I got to take and basically create the first like consumer product for me to sell online, which is ironically going to be another passion of mine, not related to graphics, not related to anything about that. It's going to be through Bulldogs. Yeah. So it's little like this is like the next goal where I build up the social following.
Shout out to Bulldog.
Yes, but for real, I build up the following, I build up this. Now it's like I need to dive in and basically become the Bulldog guy. So like that's just how I see this going. So that's what I'm currently working on.
I think that now you can get obsessed with every time that comma moves, Cole.
That's what I'm saying.
I mean, I'm telling you, bro. That's awesome.
Yeah, dude, put that number on the wall.
Yeah.
For real, yeah.
Yeah, scratch it out, keep bumping it up.
Yep.
The more you can see, like I'm a big proximity to purpose guy. Like if that's your fucking deal, like you need to see it every day, 10 times a day. It's kind of, I mean, it's the same reason I love what you do here with the flooring.
And
I
mean, it also comes in like I'm in, I guess, no rush to hit it because obviously you got to balance. Like I got to be, am I handling my shit at max, which then allows me to handle my shit over here, which allows me to coach, which I get. It's all this.
It takes all of it.
It takes time to figure out like when is like the right opportunity to really go full gas on this. And right now, like slowly building on this, it's coming soon. Like like I'm doing the small shit right now. I'm in the film room basically, which is researching what ingredients do I need of what do they do, what is the best one specifically for bulldogs, what are other dogs doing, how are people buying these? It's all in the film room, but at some point, like it's coming soon.
I just love that you said it out loud, Cole.
Yeah, I mean,
I've never heard you say that.
No, no, it's important. That's something I've been working on myself, just because I haven't been like blasting out what I do. Like people know what I do, but as far as the content and the message, because my dream, my goal is I want to change how every high performer breathes. And high performer means any human that wants more of their self. And so, okay, like, because breathing is energy. I want to give you more energy, more life back. And then really, like, if you can breathe slower, like, we can live longer. Like, I want to change how every high performer breathes, so it's going to amplify. And because I'm a helper too, like in that same sense, and I'm chasing paper too. Mm-hmm. Like that's just how it is, and it's all intertwined. But like my purpose and how I remind myself, stealing these tactics from you guys here, is I get these coins from my military guys and like fire departments.
Got a few of those. Yeah, they're sweet.
They remind me who I'm helping, and like breathing's more important in the fire department world and that kind of thing. But like for every human that wants to hold on to their dream a little longer, or pursue another level of their dream, and breathing can help them, I want to change how high performers breathe.
I like about what you said, Cole, is you're handling what you got to handle, and then you're stacking on top of it, right? Because I think that just like GPP or just like work capacity, it's the same in life, dude.
100%.
All you guys have seen the evolution of all the stuff that we got going on here. You guys now have your own version of that. Brian has taken on a ton of workload. Like you start to see like how you efficiently, partly because of the way that we all operate, can handle all those things to even get a chance to have $1 million in the bank account.
I mean,
awesome.
A lot of people will always have these big dreams and stuff like that, but they never have the work ethic. No. And once they get to a spot, they can't even handle just being at a certain level. You know, like if to relate it to sports, like if I'm a JV player and I finally get varsity spot, it takes so much to handle that spot. Like and then over to go to the next level, it's just a whole nother operation, and that's literally basically life. You know, you start to learn the small things. What do I got to do to maintain this spot? Then it's like, all right, I've learned all these skills. Now I take it to the next level, and then you just keep doing that in all these different areas.
So foundation principles, like if you have the foundation, if like you spent time on your capability, the capability will always be there at every level, and you can always add intelligence and networking and all these things. But like if you have such a broad, it's like how you build a cathedral is from the ground up.
Yeah, I
think it's Robin Hood, but but like that's how you do it. Like you literally build from the ground up, and it starts with work ethic and principles. Like the simplest things, the things that every high schooler is learning, whether they know they're learning it or not. You're learning how to cut a corner. You're learning how to hit every fucking line, but like that's what you're doing. You're accumulating that across 5 businesses now, and I think that's cool as shit. I'm hyped for you.
And then I mean, like if you really think about it, like you just start to like stack opportunities and shit like that. And once you handle one objective, you start this. You're like, all right, I got this idea. Why? Like I would never think I can't do that, right? Like you playing in the NFL, there's honestly probably nothing else. There's nothing you can't do as long as like if you wanted to do it, you could achieve it because you play in the damn NFL. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's armor. It's part of the armor.
It's armor.
Because people still make fun of what I do. People still say that I'm not gonna like go over and change like European soccer, shit like that. But just wait.
Just watch.
Just watch.
But once again, the armor part is that, well, I stood by JJ, Tyron, D-Hop. Like, why not?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That small win through the consistency and the belief. And how long a period of time was that, Brian, from you graduating to standing there in that? How many years?
From high school?
Or just from college? Like,
from college, 10.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
So there you go.
And
realize something like that.
Yeah,
to give you enough armor.
And it was like it was just literally just piece by piece.
Yeah.
And it came in different forms and different leagues when I had less resources, and then The foundation got me to more resources, and more resources mean more leverage.
You were curious the whole time.
I was even when I was curious at how I could handle transitioning better. And I read books on transitioning. Like I watched YouTube videos on like life transitioning and the psychology of like myself, like things that applied to my psychology. And it's just like, okay, I learned how to handle it a little bit better. So I think I had dark points, but I think I handled it pretty well. And then I started getting out of my own head and helping other people. And then, but just as you described earlier, like momentum is the strongest force in nature. Like ask a physics teacher. Like you get the ball rolling. If you have the balls to make the gamble, to say, fuck you, I'm doing it. And those kind of things, I think that's where like I haven't met a person I've coached right now that hasn't surprised themselves. And it's just because they're stuck in their own way. And so I just, that's why I try and I literally just ask questions about what I think mine and my humans that I coach limitations are, and they answer their own problems. Like, do you sit with yourself long enough? Do you trust your plan and your vision and your armor enough to say, okay, I got this? Because I asked enough questions and found out where these little walls were make believe. So I think that's like.
I think one of the easiest ways to create the momentum is back to the earlier thing which you said, which is consistency, preparation. That's really how you start to create momentum. What I noticed early in my career, until I ran into Dustin, who loved exercise as much as me, I couldn't rely on anybody. I was consistent, but no one else was. It fucking drove me crazy. And then I was the only one with results until I met Dustin, because he had similar results. Then we were like, all right, we're non-football players.
Do we just become best friends?
Yeah, and we're like, wait a second, all right, we're the ones with the most muscles because we don't miss workouts. I mean, it was like literally like those same things, and I was like, then I became obsessed with never missing a workout, because I was like, that's what I need. And what I know that you know is, I'm going to be here tomorrow, undoubtedly, at that time.
Me, not so much.
Yeah, but my point is, I wanted to be that guy that even if I wasn't the best athlete or the best whatever, that you could count on me. And that I know every one of these guys, whether I'm hobbling in here or not, they can count on me to be here to do something. And I'm going to give my best effort that morning. And so I became that guy because I was it was like the 6-man mentality. And that's just the role that I played.
Which is the best perspective in general, is because it's like you've ingrained it so much now that like you don't let yourself reason yourself out of something.
It's non-negotiable.
No, and that's where like the self-talk and like learning psychology and emotions and feelings, like you learn that like your emotions are the driver, like in the car. And like I posted about this a little bit ago, but like, and you see it in all the physiology and psychology. 99% of like the information we're taking in, vision, feet, hands, senses, all these things, is pre-consciousness. So how you feel is really freaking important, because really only like 1% becomes conscious, like actionable thought. Like the emotions and your feelings are driving the car. And you need emotions to like instigate movement, but you need this logical side to basically like navigate the car. And most people think, oh, I'm super logical, what I'm doing is right, I know better, blah blah blah. No, like if I don't feel like going to the gym, I'll find I worked out yesterday, I'll work out tomorrow. A little bit like all this
reasoning with yourself.
No, but like so for you, like because I say this stupidly in the weight room, and I say it in all like whenever somebody like tries to talk to me while I'm training them, don't think, just work. Yeah. Don't think, just work. Because like if you start on the business venture, if you start on the workout plan and you don't overthink it and just go, like momentum and action take care of itself.
Well, I just have realized a really long time ago that I'm not really a perfectionist, because I just realized you can't really now you can shoot to be better and improve, but I already know that version 1 is going to look way different than version 10. So why am I trying to get to version 1 as fast as I can? I've just always kind of operated that way. And then I realized that the people that were overthinking things, I was just beating them. Yeah. And I wasn't beating them because I was that much smarter. That's a fucking fact.
No, but
my action was greater.
Dude, perfectionism's poison. Like it's such a paralyzer for people to not do, because I mean, I could think about the perfect marketing strategy that I'm going to use for like pumping out my breathing stuff here next year. No, like I just know it needs to be out and on, and then I'll get the feedback, whether it's good or bad, to progress in the future. Like you said, like I know like
authentic action is going to
product
work.
10 will be you're always refining everything.
Yes.
And so the first like you don't have to be great to start, you have to start to be great. Zig Ziglar said it like a fucking monster. If you think about that, like any new thing you pick up, you're going to suck at. But if you want to be great, you got to fucking start. Yeah. And like, let's ride. But like, I think it's that simple where like, that's why the quotes just mean more to my logic, because I know points where my feelings get in the way and I can think of a quote and be like, all right, boom, back on path.
Yeah.
Boom. And so
That's why you're slut for a good quote.
slept for a good quote, baby.
Go away. It's your show. You might want to take it back over.
Yeah. We're ranters.
So I want to touch on something that we're launching here at Max, is like this athletes initiative, this athletes program that G's come up with, and we're kind of launching it with Storied Rivals, and we're just raising awareness around proper training, nutrition, diet with these high school athletes, because a lot of these kids just don't know what to do. So think back to like when you were in high school, college, whatever, you're trying to figure out what you're going to do. Like, what resource do you have, and what do you wish that you knew then that you know now?
That's a lot of information, but I just wish I would have sought out a great coach to start, and if I didn't have it available, I would just ask better questions, I guess. But from a supplement standpoint, like,
There's like a basic template, right, Brian?
Yeah.
Like there's just no information.
there's not much, and like 1 or 2 guys was taking pre-workout, 10 guys were taking whey protein, and like
Everyone took creatine.
like I won't even say many people took creatine in high school, but like creatine's been excessively studied. Everybody should take it. Max Effort Tri-Blend Creatine, shout out.
Boy.
But it's just in that same sense, like very low hanging fruit for brain, gut, and muscles, and like hydration, like the cellular hydration. I've always been a big amino acid guy.
That's what we're mostly talking about is it's creatine, it's Tri-Blend Creatine, amino recovery protein. Like that's like the building blocks.
Yeah, I was always and I didn't know this at the time, but I've like milk allergies and stuff. I could never like sit well with the whey and the casein, so I had to be an aminos guy. So I doubled down. So I doubled up on what everybody else said was okay for aminos. I doubled up and it worked out. But like I was heavy amino, like from 18 years old on, I have taken amino acids and like a high quality fish oil. I guess creatine, I was on and off of in high school and on and off of in college. But like ever since I was 22 years old and I finished up college, creatine's been in my veins. So like
In my veins.
So those 3 things, lowest hanging fruit. And then like kids aren't stupid. What's healthier, a Snickers and an apple?
Yeah.
Like figure like eat good. Like the nuance here is like eat red meat, bacon, eggs. Like you're not going to go wrong.
right on what we're telling people to do.
Like
meat and rice, like basic building
not,
blocks.
Like, and you can get away like some people have peanut butter allergies and stuff, but like. I mean, I'm not gonna throw JJ on the bus, but JJ was eating peanut butter and jellies in pro football at night, like a child, and it's just like, but like everybody has what works for them, and if that keeps your calories up to where like, hey, you're a bigger body and you need to keep your weight on, and I fucking love PB&Js. I ate them through the NFL, and so, but it's just like what works for you from a calorie standpoint, but don't be an asshole and eat the sugary bullshit. Don't like drink all these sugary drinks and that kind of thing. Because, like, the sugar are the wasted calories. But it's, like, at the end of the day, be smart about what you eat. You know, vegetables and, like, rice and potatoes, all good, healthy, and protein's good. Then just don't eat a box of Rice Krispies and you're okay. But
Yeah.
I don't think the diet is the biggest limiting factor for high school kids. I think learning how to lift properly and work ethic and those things way before that. And then like if you're relatively hydrated, which maybe I don't think a lot of humans are hydrated in general with electrolytes, like that's like the underlying lever. Then we'll worry about making your diet.
Well, I'm starting to wonder, or starting to realize, I would say more, is that people really don't even have, or maybe their parents don't even have the education on what the building blocks of a good meal looks like. So what we did for Storied Rivals is said, hey, here's the 5 or 6 things, you know, you should really look at trying to eat during lunch, dinner. Here's the basic supplements. And that if you just consistently follow this broad, you're going to get better results.
Yeah. And it's, again, and really for kids, like everybody, they're all growing.
Yeah.
Like you need to err on the side of eating too much.
Correct. Yes.
Yep.
And particularly if you want muscle, like
I don't think kids eat enough.
No,
honestly.
No, and
they're eating trash.
But if they're eating trash in bulk, that's not, like
it's not nutritious.
It's not like micronutrients are going to be trash,
Yep.
which is what you really need for like good cellular health and lean muscle mass. But like at the end of the day, like you cannot undereat.
No.
And expect to be like you're going to be an energetic kid to some extent, but if you want to be like a stud,
Gotta eat.
you have to fuel the car.
Yeah.
So it's just like Kids aren't stupid. Kids are just lazy. They're not stupid.
Yep.
They know what's healthier than X option. But again,
making a quality decision on what tastes good versus what's.
But imagine if you're sitting there at 15 years old right now and you listen to this, and your foundation of diet is like clean carbs, like high fat protein, like the right fish oils and aminos. Yeah. If your foundation from 15 years old to 25 years old is that, like, you're going to be a monster when you're trying to go to pro sports, or you're going to be a monster by the time you graduate high school because you're still growing, growth hormones higher, like all this stuff. Like
you want to see some like really sped up results, get this stuff really dialed in, which is we're putting out all the information for guys of things that we've seen from kids in the gym and just from ourselves and like real basic stuff I followed for a long time.
Yeah. And just like, this is such a special place. You have to break down the muscle to build it.
Yeah. So
you have to work hard first. And if work hard, like your hard work and putting max effort into every rep and every day in the gym and every conditioning, do that first and then add all this stuff. Now you're talking fire and gasoline.
It is.
So it's like, okay, but like the work comes first always. And if the kids can learn that, their life's going to be easier. Even if they don't go into college sports or pro sports, if they know what a work ethic is, and like you can get competitive about working harder than the next guy, and you keep that for the rest of your life, you're always going to be hungry.
Yeah, fuck with it.
Yeah.
Sick. Well, this has been a fantastic episode. So, Brian, G, obviously, thank you guys for joining us. Colin, awesome. You got any party shots?
Juicy.
No, man. Listen to the whole thing. It's well worth it. I mean, Brian's dropping knowledge, Corey's dropping knowledge. We're just fortunate to have two studs on the show today.
Yo, sick. Corey, you got anything?
This is an amazing episode. It's always great to talk to BP. BP, where can all the kids find you at?
Socials is Brian_Peters10, chasingedges.com and the podcast. And then Breathing for Performance is the name right now. It might be adapted. We're rebranding with some big dogs in the industry. Yeah. And we'll see. Then online education will be out January 1.
Sick. Brian, thanks for taking me to the island. Changed my life.
Hey, thanks for buying the island. I cannot wait to live there. Yeah.
This is the Max Effort Athletes Network podcast, and we're out.